Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Hello, American patriots, and welcome to another episode of the Douglas Ducote Show. For those of you just joining for the first time, I'm Douglas Ducote. I hope that this show finds all of you doing well tonight. All across this country, not only are people not doing well, but they're not doing well for many different reasons. Whether it's COVID-19 or not necessarily directly affected with the virus, but because they're on lockdown or can't go out to a restaurant or go catch a movie or any of the things that we normally take for granted here in America. We have lost a lot of good people in the past few days. One of those was country music singer Joe Diffie, which I've had the honor and was blessed to have met several times. Back when I first came off of active duty from the U.S. Army and went in the National Guard, I started Ducote's Country Dance Hall, which was a nightclub that had concert performances on Friday and Saturday nights. And Joe Diffie had just come out with his album, Third Rock from the Sun, and we were able to book him into our club, and he played there. And later I helped him get on with the basically a radio promotion type concert that we worked with. And then through the years, several different meetings, different events. And just recently, about 2 years ago was the last time I saw him at one of his shows. He wasn't a personal friend of mine, like a lot of my friends in the music business that knew him like a brother. And some of those are really hurting tonight because they worked with him and performed with him. And my heart, my thoughts, my prayers go out to all of them and to the Diffie family during this trying times. We also, our first National Guards member to be deployed during the COVID-19 fight. He was a doctor in the civilian world, and he was a doctor in the National Guard. And I guess about 2 weeks ago, he was exposed to it in one of the drive-up testing sites they had set up in New Jersey. And he got diagnosed with it, ended up in the hospital, and then today died. So slowly but surely, many of us are starting to know people or know someone who knows someone that is affected. Aside from the virus itself, as a combat veteran that suffers from PTSD, and I work with a lot of vets with PTSD. I do a lot of work through my organization, Veterans United for Justice, with vets with PTSD. And then my wife working in that profession as well, in the counseling medical part of the field. What can be very trying right now is those being confined to their home, not being able to go out and do things that help you. And whether it's PTSD from the military or PTSD from anything, somebody that was, sexually assaulted or experienced a horrible car crash or an airplane crash or was a victim of any type thing that brought this upon you. And not necessarily PTSD. Anyone that's got any sort of underlying medical condition that's mentally can cause you to possibly have issues. So we need to pay attention to our fellow family members that could fall under that kind of category. And bring attention to medical professionals in the event that they're having issues or problems dealing with this. I do believe that from everything I'm hearing, the suicide rate in America is going to be an epidemic in itself. It already is with veterans. Now, all that being said, most veterans, like myself, we're used to being without what we have now, at least, being in a desert somewhere, in a jungle somewhere for months or years at a time. So we come with a little bit of life skills to be able to handle that and deal with that. Veterans that were in the Navy that served on submarines, they're used to being confined for months at a time. So that's a coping skill for that group because, hey, it's not that bad being confined when you've got air conditioning and TV and computers and, you can still go walk down the street. But overall, I'm starting to look at and see a possible problem with those that are struggling with, especially those that have never been in a situation before where they're restricted. Their rights as an American citizen, just like that, were removed from them. Just in the past 48 hours, the state of Texas just stopped anyone from Louisiana going westbound on Interstate 10 into their state unless you quarantine. Florida, in the opposite direction on Interstate 10, did the same thing as well. There's checkpoints you have to go through. And if you're from Louisiana, you have to go into quarantine. They take down all your information. And why is that? Well, it's because right now, the most growing cases of this virus happen to be in Louisiana, and it started in New Orleans. And it goes back to what I've already talked about in the past, the Mardi Gras, and how many of us called on the mayor and the governor not to hold Mardi Gras when we saw what was happening on the news all around the world, and then out on the West Coast starting to spread. And it fell on deaf ears, and they did it anyhow. And now Louisiana is starting to look like New York and all the other places combined. So I never thought I'd live to see the day that, as a resident of Louisiana, you're going to be stopped and asked, where are you going? And if you're from the state and you're going to be in our state, well, you go into quarantine for 14 days. They're also doing the same thing to anyone coming in from New York. A New York resident cannot today drive down to Florida or Texas. Well, you can, but when you get there, if you're going to stay in their state, you're going to do so quarantined. And they're going to check up on you, and they're going to get the information where you're going to, whose house you're staying at. So we're living in scary times. We're living in times that are no one expected what's happening right now. So tonight's show is about the stimulus bill. And basically what I'd like to say, how we, the American people, the taxpayer, just got screwed by the members of Congress, Democrats and Republicans. The Democrats for putting the crap in this bill that they did that has absolutely nothing to do with the coronavirus. And the Republicans for not standing up and preaching to the world in front of every freaking television camera, and the president himself taking to the podium and saying this is bullshit. They didn't do that. They went ahead and made a few concessions, and then they let Nancy Pelosi and her barrel of freak monkeys up there just stuff pork after pork into this damn package. And that should piss off every single American, regardless of your political party. That one party put it in there and the other party went, oh, we're going to be okay with that shit. And not one person, not one member of the United States Congress stood up and said, hell no. What the hell are you doing? None of them. Bunch of spineless bastards. Now, what has me so pissed off? Let me share that with you. How about, first off, what was this package about? It was to get money, first and foremost, to the medical field. Doctors, nurses, hospitals, so they can get equipment, they can get the things they need to take care of sick patients during this pandemic. That's where the majority of the funding was directed for. And then first responders, because they don't get to stay home. Police officers, deputy sheriffs, firefighters, they're all out there, ambulance drivers, EMTs. They're out there in the midst of the people that are contagious, still having to do their job. It was to help them. It was to help the American people that can't work because the government just shut your business down. You don't have a job anymore. Some of these businesses have the capability of continuing to pay their employee during these trying times. Others don't. Others will be ruined. and never open again. It was to give them money so they can come back or they can stay in business and, in some cases, pay their employees so they still have them when they can reopen again. There are many things that we get out of this stimulus package that, yes, is positive and it is good stuff. It does help out a lot of people. Most American taxpayers that make under a certain amount of money, and let's just, I don't know what the exact figure is off the top of my head right now, but let's just say $100,000, is going to see a check for $1,200 a person plus $500 for each kid that you have on your taxes. Those that are just on Social Security are going to see a little bump. Those that are on unemployment benefits already are going to get extra money added. Those are good things. Those are things that will stimulate the economy when it comes back. And those are things that are needed. And that's what this bill was all about. How do we save our economy? How do we save those on the front lines? And how do we save the American people where they can pay their rent if they can't work or buy food for their family? That's what this bill was about. And every bill ever put forward through Congress, both Democrats and Republicans throw pork in there. They throw things in there that they want for their special needs groups that pay them money in the back door, that helped their campaign. And the pet projects that, think about this for a moment. How does somebody like, let's say a bartender go from an apartment to Congress and in a matter of 6 months be worth $750,000? Name a member of Congress that's been in there for more than 5 or 6 years that isn't a millionaire. And then you have those that have been there forever that have more money than is ever needed for a human being. Okay? There's a reason that works that way. So they put in this pork. And in many cases, it just slides through, and you think the bill to help out whatever is just for that. But they got all this stuff added in there, extra. When we get to a situation where it is a pandemic and it is affecting our country, our well-being, everything we stand for as Americans, and they still add shit to it, they should not be a member of Congress anymore. And it's up to we, the people, to see to it they get voted the hell out. Now, let's talk about some of these things that they added, the Democrats, and the Republicans didn't stop them. They added to this bill. Let's start by $25 million for salary and expenses for the chamber, which would be allocated in accordance with a spend plan submitted to the Committee on Appropriations of the House of Representatives by the Chief Administration Officer and approved by such committee. What is that? A lot of big words. It's a damn pay raise. That's what it is. They gave themselves a pay raise. Now, saying that, they came back and they said that that's misleading and that you can't call it actually a pay raise because it covers a lot of different things that members of Congress need. Or you can call it what the hell you want. It's a damn pay raise. Let's move on down the list here. 88 million of your dollars went to the freaking Peace Corps for evacuating volunteers and U.S. direct hires from overseas. The agency just fired all of their 7,300 volunteers working in 61 countries on March 15th. The Pelosi bill then allotted $90 million. Let's move on. $250 million went to the IRS. You know, the people that take your money and bend you over all the time. Yeah. $250 million. It would cover taxpayer services. Now, I don't know what the hell that means, but I'd like to know Nancy Pelosi. I'd like to know Democrats and Republicans. What does that mean? Then it goes on to say it will also cover enforcement and operation support. And then Pelosi added it to make it $602 million damn dollars for the IRS enforcement of taxpayer services. $350 million to the State Department of, are you ready for this? Migration and Refugee Assistance. This funding would help minimize the virus's spread among vulnerable populations. I'm going to repeat that. $350 million went to the State Department for migration and refugee assistance. $400 million went to the Federal Election Assistance Commission to assist the states with election security grants. Has anything I just mentioned have a damn thing yet to do with, what we're faced with the coronavirus, COVID-19? Is any of this going to help those on the front lines in the hospitals, the doctors, the nurses, EMTs, firefighters, law enforcement, your freaking bank account? Small businesses to come back and grow? No, it gets worse. If you didn't think it could, let me prove you wrong. $30.8 billion to the Department of Education for State Physical Stabilization Fund that provides grants to support elementary and secondary education. Yeah, that's what I said. Now let's get stupid with it. As if that wasn't enough, Nancy Pelosi, Democrats, Republicans, Mitch McConnell, as if that wasn't enough, let's just see how much shit we can force down the American taxpayer's throat that they don't have a choice but to embrace the suck. $500 million to the institution of museums and library services. I would repeat that, but I think my blood pressure would freaking pop my head off right now. Think you can't get worse? $600 million to the National Endowment of Arts and Humanities. Yeah. Because we need art and humanities during this time of crisis. $25 million went to the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in Washington, D.C. And Pelosi tacked a little bit onto it and made it $35 million. $75 million went to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. They would be the people that refuse to cover the White House's coronavirus daily briefings because they believe that most of what the president says is not true. So they won't cover the press conferences anymore. So let's give them $75 million. Shit, Nancy, why didn't you bail out CNN too? Because their ratings suck. Throw in MSNBC while we're at it. Because Fox News is running over them like they're freaking ants on the ground. $1.2 billion. It's a lot of money. Will go to the airline industry. $1.2 billion. Now, airlines are suffering, right? Because people aren't flying. I know they're suffering. One of my sons is an airline pilot. Going, shit. Can't fly. But is it to bail them out? Here, let me read this for you. The bill requires the airlines to purchase expensive renewable jet fuel. To cut down on gas emissions. And they have to do so before 2026. You got to make your jets be bio in 6 years. Here's your money, $1.2 billion for jet fuel. Yeah. Is there any doubt in anyone's mind that we, the people, are getting screwed by members of Congress? And why in the living hell our president signed off on this? I don't know. I hope that in due time, we will find the answer to this. Maybe it was because he figured if we kept negotiating with these bastards in the House, Nancy Pelosi's Democrats trying to pull this shit out, it could drag on for weeks or months at a time. And the money that would go to the first responders and the medical field and your paycheck or your pocket would be delayed. And he thought, hell with it. At least this gets that money out there. And the Democrats can't say that I held it up. What I wish he would have done, what I really wish President Trump would have done, is read that shit out that I just read to you on national TV live. Hold a press conference to read that shit to the American people. This is the bill I'm going to sign, where the Democrats just fucked you. And that's exactly what they did. And how many members of the Republican Party, other than now they're, oh my God, look what the Democrats did. Now they're upset. Why? Because people like me, us small people, not Fox and CNN and MSNBC, but us that are trying to give you the facts and the truth, there's enough of us putting information out there to show you what they did, that now the Republicans are going, yeah, those bad Democrats. Those bad Democrats. This is a shit show on steroids. I know the average American finds out about this and it pisses you off. For those of us that served this country with honor, veterans, law enforcement officers, you're going, what the shit happened to America? How did this happen? If this pandemic is so freaking bad that we have to strip away all of your damn rights and close down all the businesses and make everybody quarantine themselves off in their house and stop people from going into other states, then what the hell did you add all this other shit in there for? Every fucking penny, the $2 trillion should have went to the pandemic problem. But it didn't. It is absolutely a disgrace what has just taken place with Republicans and Democrats, senators and Congress members. You guys and girls are a disgrace to all Americans and our country. You work for us, the taxpayer, and then you turn around and screw us like this. We are in trying times. It's bad enough that before the coronavirus came, we had members of Congress doing stupid shit daily. Hell, I make most of my videos off of their stupidity, exposing it and showing you AOC and Rashid Tlaib and Alihan Omar and Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and those in the Republican Party too. And if you're a freaking Democrat or you're a liberal and you're watching my show and you're thinking, oh, he only goes after Democrats, then you haven't checked out my damn videos, have you? My whole mission is I don't give two shits if you are a Democrat or a Republican, if we sent your ass to Congress to work for us, the people, and you're up there for your own damn interest, get the fuck out, because you are wrong. You are wrong. There is no reason for this. It is pathetic. It is disgusting. And the fact that we've gotten to this point is a travesty. Now, for those that are offended by my language tonight, my apologies, because my own mother is watching the show tonight, probably going, Doug, what the hell? But I've never been politically correct. I never will be politically correct, because I believe that political correctness is the biggest downfall that the United States of America has ever fallen under. And then the infiltration of the toilet seat lickers and window screen lickers and Tide Pod eaters into our school system and just ruining the brains of our children to believe that America is hateful, to believe it's okay to kneel during the national anthem if you're making millions of dollars throwing a freaking pigskin around for something that doesn't exist. And I've done plenty of videos on that shit too. If you haven't already done so, I want you to please go over to DouglasDucote.com. Sign up on that website. That's mine, DouglasDucote.com, so that you will be able to get our free newsletter. And in the future, you will be able to continue to watch me. I've been saying for a long time that they're coming after conservatives and Republicans. And the closer we get to the 2020 election, the worse it will get. And we've seen it happen. We've seen them strip away the channels of Republicans and conservatives that are getting the truth out there to you. Just like that. Some of them had over 1 million subscribers, whether it was on YouTube or Facebook, people following them, or Twitter. Bam, gone, never to be seen from again. Which is why we came up with DouglasDucote.com, our own damn website, because we knew this was going to happen. And it already has. I am banned on Twitter for life. Why? For those of you that don't know, because AOC tweeted out something that was a complete and utter lie about Republicans. And my response was, and this is all I typed back, tweeted, how many Tide Pods did you eat today? And I was removed from Twitter. The reason being, I was promoting suicide. Which I guess, if you eat enough Tide Pods, it will kill you. Making a joke about Tide Pods. Twitter account, gone. I then went over to Facebook and I shared that with just on my own personal Facebook wall. You guys aren't going to believe what the hell just happened to me at Twitter. 30 days, Facebook jail. Why? For promoting hate against Twitter. That's correct. Now, on Facebook, up until about an hour ago, I had my own Facebook page for my family and friends that I've been on since 2010. A good while now. I had the Facebook page, American Patriot by the Grace of God. And I had the Douglas Ducote Show. I don't know about the Douglas Ducote show right now. I don't know about American Patriot by the Grace of God. Nor do I know about my organization, Veterans United for Justice, its Facebook page. Why? Well, because about 30 minutes before the show, I was on my phone sending out the meme for this show tonight, like I always do. I posted it on my personal Facebook wall and said, hey, make sure y'all join me tonight. I posted it over on American Patriot by the Grace of God. Tune in tonight to the show. And Fox News. And the next thing I know, my screen says, you need to identify yourself. Something I'd never seen before. And it said, you're currently suspended from Facebook until you can prove you are who you are. What the shit? Said, we're going to send you a text message to the number we have on file. And they even showed what the number was, and that's my number. And then you put that code in. Sure enough, I got a text message from Facebook with the code to verify it's me. And I did that. Then it said step 2. Oh, wait, there's 2 steps to it. Upload a photo that clearly shows your face with no shadows. All right, I did that. And then you can't use Facebook now. We're currently reviewing your submission. We're always looking out for the security of our community. So until then, you won't be able to use Facebook. So I put my phone down and I went to my PC and I logged on and put in my information and said, can't use Facebook right now. We're currently reviewing your submission. We're always looking out for the security of our community. So until then, you won't be able to use Facebook. So I contacted my producer and I went, what the shit, dude? Check this out. And he went over to Facebook and went, your whole freaking account's gone. It's gone. It's not there anymore. It's a blank freaking page. Like I say, I don't know if they took down American Patriot by the Grace of God. I don't know if they took down Veterans United for Justice. I don't know if they took down the Douglas Ducote show or any of the Facebook groups I've done for vets throughout the past several years that I run. So what do you think's next? YouTube. Who owns YouTube? Google. What does Google own? You see where I'm going with this? So then I contacted the customer service number over at Facebook and to say, what the shit? And the recording says that during the COVID-19 issue, or I don't remember the exact wording of it, but basically we're no longer answering the phone lines for customer service. It will not be in operation. We do not have people here to answer anymore. We used to be able to call that number if you had problems. Nope. Gone. DouglasDucote.com. I'm going to take a quick break. And when I come back, we're going to wrap up this show. And we'll have a little chat briefly. Stay tuned. Hello, American Patriots. Douglas Ducote here. The Second Amendment, it's not for hunting. It's for protecting ourselves against our government. Well, the last thing you need to worry about is your weapon being rusted and not working. Folks, here's your product. FirearmGuard.com. Use promo code DOUG for free shipping. This will protect your weapon from any rust and mildew issues. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. And we are back. I'll tell you what we're going to do. It's already 10 till, and we try and keep the show to an hour. I'm going to bring my producer on real quick because I know we have people on the phone lines. And whatever's there now waiting, we keep it at that. So Dustin, if you would, we'll bring those people on and look, ask the question and try not to ramble on about whatever, because I want to try and get through everybody so they can can speak their mind. So try and keep it to a minute if you could. Please.
All right, guys. So let me just let you know who's in the queue, and then we'll cut it off after that. So just wait. We've got Barbara in Arkansas, Paul in Delaware. We've got Ben in California. We've got Alex in South Carolina. I don't know if it's Minaj calling from California, and David calling from, I think is David usually from I don't know, Chicago. Oh, no, yeah, Illinois. So just wait there. We're going to start with Barbara from Arkansas. You are on the Douglas Ducote Show with Douglas Ducote.
Hello, Barbara.
It's great to hear you and to see your show. I have a couple of requests. I was wondering if there'd be any chance you could have Dr. Shiva, I believe it is, Shiva, on one of your shows. He has a lot of interesting things to say about the virus that's going around. And also, you were talking about Donald Trump, why he signed the bill. I was watching one of his live performances, and he said one of the questions that was asked from the news people was why that he was giving into some of those concessions. And he said to pass the bill, to get the bill passed. Also, is there any chance that you and Joe could get together and rearrange your times? Because right now you're both on at the same time, and if you could alternate your times, it would be really great so we could watch both of you. Thank you, Douglas, and have a great day.
Thank you for the call. And if you would, please send a email to Dustin@DouglasDucote.com with that doctor's full name so we can reach out to him or her. I don't remember if you said it was a guy or a girl, and see if we can get them on the show. I'd be more than happy to do that. I don't know what to tell you about American Joe. I've been doing 8 o'clock since I started, and that didn't change. When we went to doing the show 5 days a week, we stayed at the same time slot. So, that it is what it is.
Got to do what you got to do. All right, let's go to, and remember, I mean, whether it's Doug or whether it's Joe or anyone else, you can watch all these in rerun, and we put all of the shows after they're live on YouTube and DLive and Facebook and Periscope up on DouglasDucote.com. So, I mean, you got to pick and choose sometimes. We're not a network with everyone else where we all organize our shows. There's probably 15 different personalities that we deal with or guests on our show that have shows. I mean, it's the world of digital. At least for now, you can watch these things anytime you want. All right, let's go over to Paul from Delaware. You're on the Douglas Ducote Show with Douglas Ducote.
Hello, Paul.
Hey, Doug. How you doing? Hey, listen, don't want to go on without thanking you for your service, both in military and law enforcement. We've talked a couple times, and I'll keep it short. There's several states that are shutting down churches and synagogues, but I haven't heard one single thing about shutting down mosques, and I was just wondering if you had any more info on that. And before I let you go, I know that you and Dustin are going to be in D.C. sometime in the near future. I only live about a 2.5 hour ride from D.C., if you guys are in D.C., I'd like you to get hold of me. There's a steakhouse just outside of D.C. that has the best prime rib you'll ever want to eat, and I would love to take you and Dustin and treat you to a steak dinner.
We'll hold you to that, brother. That sounds great. I'd love that. It's funny you mentioned the mosque, because just earlier today I was having that conversation with a friend. What's the deal there? And I didn't get a chance to go look into it further because I was doing other things about, the show tonight. But that is something we're going to look at, because I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. But I want to know, and we will find that answer, and we will let the people know. So thank you for your call, brother.
I got your name and number on that steak. Right now is probably a bad idea. We'd have to order takeout and then sit in the parking lot 6 feet away from each other and wave. But I did just, what happened today, Doug? In Tampa, a friend of mine who lives down there, his friend is a deputy in the sheriff's department. He called him up early this morning and he said, "You're not going to believe this. We're about to arrest a pastor who said, screw this." And he did church services, but he kept the social distancing order of 6 feet apart. And my friend called me and told me as a tip. And I said, well, let's see if it happens. And then lo and behold, in the afternoon, it was reported they arrested the pastor. And it was weird. They arrested him on not obeying President Trump's requests and the CDC requests, which are not actually law. So I don't know how they actually arrested him, but he's a known guy, controversial. Some people like him and don't. But, if they're starting to arrest pastors, oh, man, this is going to get pretty crazy. All right, let's go over
On
to
that note, real quick, there's been numerous talk about people they're going to arrest for different reasons that are breaking curfews and things like that, or not necessarily curfews, but the distance and traveling from one state to the other, where they're telling you can't. But yet we're releasing people from jail that have already been booked for freaking crimes back on the street because of coronavirus spreading in the jail. So now we're going to arrest people for breaking what they just made up as a freaking law now that didn't exist before because we said so.
Yeah. Well, look, you guys in Louisiana, people from New York, I mean, you've been following those stories that are fleeing down to Florida. Now, Florida is I don't know if they're using state troopers, National Guard, or a combo. They're actually stopping people and then telling you that you've got to self-quarantine for, I think the new one that came out today was 60 days. I don't know how they're going to track that because they're letting you go. But as last I checked again today with Jessica Vaughn, we still have 10 million border visa cards in circulation that have not been cut off. So those are for Mexicans to come over the other side of our border, and they have not ended that program. They're coming right through the border. And I'm like, we're being asked to sacrifice, and that's going on? That's ridiculous. All right, let's go to Ben from California. You're on the Douglas Ducote Show with Douglas Ducote.
Hey, how you doing, Doug? There is something as righteous anger, my brother. You have a right to be angry about this. We just found out that Governor Newsom, the great king of California, apparently Friday night released a bunch of inmates out of our prison system. A couple of them actually had robberies from 20 years back. One in particular entered an old lady's home, stabbed her to death, and robbed her. But apparently he has mercy on this guy. And remember, Doug, we talked a few weeks ago about how socialism and Bernie will never happen here. Welcome to China, my friend.
You're right. You're right, brother.
Welcome
It's
to China.
the craziest shit I've ever seen.
This is not just a shit show. This is a shit pool. By this point, we got to hit our knees. And I don't see, if this is the new normal, think about it. We can't stand 6 feet apart. That means you can't protest. That means you can't even say no to what they're doing. What's next? Are they going to run us down with their own tanks? I mean, what are they really going to do? More Americans got more guns than anybody else right now. This is a show, and they're going to see how far they can push it. They're going to see how far they can push it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
One thing they haven't done is they haven't yet taken away our Second Amendment rights. Yeah. Thank you for your call, brother. Be safe out there.
I know, and it's awesome. Governor Northam, who you went to Virginia, and we did the 6-hour stream. The guy who has been trying to take all your guns away, passing all kinds of bills. Also, the same guy who talked openly about post-birth abortion has now implemented a quarantine for until June 10th. So the guy who wanted to kill your children and take away your right to defend yourself is now the guy who claims he's going to be the one to protect you. It's like a Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone. Let's go over to the last couple calls here. We've got Alex Roberts calling from South Carolina. I assume this is probably Alex that helps Marilyn with some writing stuff. Alex, you are on the Douglas Ducote Show with Douglas Ducote.
Hello, Alex.
All right, Douglas. I just want to take a moment and thank you for your service to our country. We appreciate what you did, and I appreciate what you continue to do. Your passion is contagious, and it's no secret that if you're white, Republican, Christian, that the government's against you right now. So I hope that you continue to do what you've been doing and keep being our voice, since the rest of us don't have one right now.
I understand that, and thank you very much. And thank you for what you're doing for my wife, writing for her, and I appreciate you, brother, and thanks for calling.
All right, so let's jump over to David calling in from Illinois. David, you are on the Douglas Ducote Show with Douglas Ducote.
Hello, David.
Hi, Doug and Kristen. I see a lot of comments in the chat about having a civil war and everything else, and let me tell you something. If you can't get, there's no chance that you can get them organized for a civil war. The only way to fix our problem is for people like Doug and like me and the people in the chat room who are angry enough to get out there and run for office and win. That's the only way I can see that we can ever fix this thing. So, I'd like to see people, instead of just complaining in the chat rooms and watching videos, to make a commitment and actually do something about it. Because just talking is not going to do anything. It's the action that's going to count. Anyway, thanks for your service, Doug, and that'll wrap it up for me.
All righty. Thank you very much, brother. And you're right. We do need people that have a passion for this country to step forward and run for office. I can tell you one of the things that stopped me from doing it is, I grew up an alpha male, okay, in the South. And have I done things in my life that I'm not proud of as a teenager, as a young punk? Yeah, because that's just part of life. Okay. We all make mistakes and do things that, that we don't, that we regret. And I thought, you know what? I wouldn't want silly ass shit like that to be drug out and have people trash me for that. Okay. And not that, I haven't killed anybody like that or hurt anyone, or sexual assault or not like that. In some of the cases you've seen people lying about, but, look, as a youth, I experimented with drugs, with heavy drinking, partying. I'm not ashamed to admit that. And my book that hopefully will be out soon, it will discuss some of those things. But I watch what happens to people running for Congress or trying to get appointed to a position like on the Supreme Court. And not only do they drag out everything and turn it into big sensational bullshit, but then they lie and send people to make up stories and shit. And so that's what kind of held me back from doing it. So I started doing these videos and then this show. And now I've got people on the left that attack me and my family and my friends and everybody that I've ever had on my show get attacked on a regular basis with absolutely 100% made up lies. Some of you have followed that and know that You know, they hacked into our account, used my email, pretended to be me, called in bomb threats, threatened to kill people as if it was me doing it. So I could just imagine dealing with that today, what it would be like if I was on a ticket running for something. Not that I'm not going to, not that I should really give a damn what other people say or do. And in most cases, for those that know me, I don't. But that is what stops a lot of good people from running for office today, sadly, because they weren't some little choir boy raised to do no wrong at any point in their life. No. And, you know, so it is what it is. But what the future holds, I don't know. What the future holds right now, what I believe God wants me to do right now, I'm doing it. And maybe later on in life, God will ask me to do something else and steer me in that direction. And whatever that happens to be, well, that's the direction I will go. You had many places you could have tuned in tonight. You chose here, and I thank you. Team Ducote thanks you. Got a great group of people around me. Marilyn and Dustin and Chrissy and many others that you guys haven't even heard of that are doing wonderful things for us. And we're very appreciative of that. What I do believe in my heart is that we will get through this current pandemic. Sadly, I do believe in my heart we're going to get through this pandemic with a lot of wounds that didn't need to happen. Because a lot of people are reaching a point where they're just going, the hell with it. And when we get to that point in society breaks down. And I wish that wasn't the case. But all you got to do is look around the world at society breaking down, especially in socialist countries before the pandemic. And now we add that. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your fellow man, woman, your families. For now, do what they're asking you to do. I'm staying away from going out in public now. I'm washing my hands. I'm not touching my face after I've touched something else, or at least I'm trying not to. And I believe that in the next few months, all this will be behind us. And we will have learned something for future generations to come on how not to do something or better ways of doing something. We are in basically a school right now, and the teacher's drunk. And that's everybody running this shit show because they're all talking out the side of their ass, and I don't know who to listen to. What I've got to dig and dig and dig for basic, simple information to be able to tell you the truth, and I shouldn't have to do that much digging. I've got Democrats saying one thing and many of them saying different things. Republicans doing the same thing. The president gets up and talks at the podium, and then the administration turns around and says just the opposite, or vice versa. I don't understand. There's a lot of stories that a lot of people are asking me to talk about and put out, but I can't vet them. I can't. And if I can't show you where to get that information, if you ask me for that, then I'm not going to do the story. You know? And I believe that's what decent human being, decent American morals and values are all about. Doing the right thing, and doing the right thing when nobody's looking. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, our doctors and nurses that are out there busting their ass and putting themselves, their lives, and the lives of their family at risk to better our society in the future. Say a prayer for our angel families, our blue and gold star families, our president, and our country. For now, I'm Douglas Ducote. Please tune in tomorrow night. Again, we're live Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern with the Douglas Ducote Show. God bless you. Wash your hands, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow night. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.